Kortney Olson wants to teach teenage girls self-esteem and confidence, and she knows what it's like not to feel confident, and that lack of self-esteem really altered the course of her life for a time. She's walked the walk, and now she's ready to talk the talk and help girls with their confidence. And she joins you now. Kortney, good afternoon.
How are you, Heather?
I'm good, thank you. So now, Kortney, self-esteem, just why is it so important to us?
Well, self-esteem it's a sense of self. The way we build more self-esteem is by doing more esteemable acts. So being of service to other people. We're this day and age so needy and in the now and expect instant gratification that we lose sight of what it feels like to be of service to somebody else. Whether it's opening a door for somebody or just giving them a quick smile can really turn around somebody else's day. Just like that.
That's a good point, and they're very small things to do. How are self-esteem and self-confidence linked, particularly in girls? Because this is who you're going to be dealing with.
That's right. Well, with self-confidence, it's a whole gamut of what we've put together. So, we teach the lessons, we teach the principles, and we teach the habits. So it's all three combined that lead to the development of self-love. So when you have self-love, that equates to being confident.
So you can teach self-confidence and you can teach self-esteem?
Absolutely.
But how do you look inside yourself and start to build that? How do you teach people what to look for in themselves?
Awareness. It starts with awareness. So in the lessons, we have awareness being the first piece. And until you're aware of an issue being there, there's nothing to solve. So it's, stopping, pausing, and unplugging, especially with teens. It's so easy to get caught up with drama and what your friends are doing and trying to fit in and be cool. So we really pause and take a step back and look at, how we can get to know ourselves inside, because confident people know themselves through and through. They know what they stand for, what they want to say yes to, no to, what their values are, and they're proud of the person that they are.
Okay, now, what happens to teenage girls who lack self-esteem and self-confidence?
What doesn't happen?
Right.
Poor choices would be my first answer. I look at myself at 17, and I was the perfect teenager. Associated student body president, captain of the cheerleading golf team, played basketball in a Christian rock band. I was going to be the first female president of the United States. And just, out of foolishness, started, going down a wrong path because some friends were doing it and didn't think it was a big deal. So it wasn't even, and I was very charismatic, outgoing, excelled in school. So it's there's little risks everywhere. It's just being aware and knowing what can happen as well as how to prevent it from happening.
Your life took quite a turn, didn't it? Because there you were, the perfect teenager, as you say, and
so I thought.
Well, I can see the picture there. I was buying into that whole thing there, and then your life took this turn, and you were 17, and you got into booze, you got into drugs, even crystal meth.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
That's I have all my teeth. Okay? I'm a miracle.
that's pretty serious stuff, isn't it?
It is.
But what I'm trying to get to is what flicked the switch to start everything going wrong.
Just that lifestyle, and why I picked up and started using was because I kept losing weight, and I think that's one of the biggest issues with teens. And even you see it in 7- and 8-year-old girls. They don't want to go to school and wear a puffy jacket because it makes them look fat. And the girls are just not feeling comfortable in their own skin. So they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole,
Your life came off the rails for quite some time, didn't it? A decade.
Yeah. Like I said, this is a miracle.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror and I'm amazed that I've made it through all the things that I've seen and done. It's a shocker, but I realize now that this is my vocation, that I've been through this and have come out the other side, which is a miracle on its own, but also that I've come out wanting to, take on this challenge, because it's a massive challenge and there's nothing being done about it in terms of prevention. And it's for everyday girls, It's something that everybody is susceptible to, and, we all suffer, especially women, the way we're portrayed in the media and how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to look, so we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to, do this diet, try this, it's insane.
You see, Kortney, I asked you what flicked the switch to make it all go wrong 10 years ago. 10 years previous to when it all started to go right again, because, as I mentioned, it went off the rails for a decade. And, you ended up working in the porn industry, but then something flicked the switch to make it all go right. But, you're in a pretty dark place with crystal meth, working in the porn industry, drugs, booze. What got a hold of you and made you wake up and not die? Because we hear so many stories of women who die in those situations.
Oh, absolutely. I knew all along that I wasn't on the right path. I just didn't know how to get help. And that's part of what we want to create with this brand is a very prominent brand that young women know that they can go to and get answers and get solutions and be in a safe, non-judgmental, environment where they'll get some solutions. And it just wasn't made available.
But what I'm trying to get at here, and you're sort of skirting around it a bit, is what was the wake-up call for you? When was the day? Do you remember the day when you said, right, no more booze, no more drugs, no more porn industry, I want out of this?
There were so many dates, Heather, where I just said, okay, that's it, that's enough. And then something else would come back up. I'd have another issue or, want to put something in my body to change the way that I was feeling about myself, or an external stimulus, somebody that wronged me, so it was their fault and not taking responsibility and accepting my role in things, so just some basic principles that I've just kept continuing to learn after falling down and getting back up and falling down and getting back up. I just was determined, and it took a while.
And now you're quite zealous in you're striving to create this confidence in young women, and you've started these camps, Kamp Confidence, and the first one is this weekend, isn't it?
Our trial one's this
weekend.
One. The first one is October 11th through the 13th.
Right. So now, after, quite clearly you have turned your life around, and as I mentioned, you're absolutely zealous about your cause. But what would you say to parents who perhaps hear your story and think, is this the right person to teach my daughter confidence?
That's, I think I'm the least of parents' worries, with the lack of everything, nothing being available. I think the parents are more worried about their daughter's well-being and that she's safe and happy and can avoid this. So to have somebody that's, like you mentioned, walk the walk and not just talk the talk, it gives me the ability to relate and build that rapport, and that they can say, okay, this person's been through it. Whereas with parents, and I was in the same boat, sometimes you don't want to hear it from your parents at that stage. So to have a role model and to have somebody that is not just, talking into thin air and has actually gone down that path, it makes the message stick quite a bit more.
Let me put something else to you, Kortney. I've seen photographs of you. You're a stunningly good-looking woman with a really, phenomenal physique. I mean, you're ripped to shreds, absolutely ripped to shreds. But having said that, maybe you're too perfect, Kortney.
I like you, Heather. We gotta hang out off air.
Maybe you're too good looking and too fit.
Yeah, you know what? That's funny. By sharing what's going on with me, because you know what? It's progress, not perfection. And even though I am still, it's still something that I'm not perfect at, accepting my body. I still will look in the mirror sometimes and say, that's not good enough and this isn't right. But I'm doing the best that I can, and I have tools to say, okay, right, let's look at the positives versus the negatives. I understand that our brains are conditioned to latch onto those negative things. You know, if I told you 5 things about you, Heather, your voice is amazing. You have a great personality. You're so peppy. You are brilliant. But, you know, from the sounds of it, I would wear a different lipstick or something like that. You know, and the one thing you'll remember is the lipstick. This would have been a lot easier to do if we were face to face, but you know, it's human nature, and to just be open and honest, because I'm an open book, and to say, look, this is, and it's simply just my experience. You know, it's my experience, strength, and hope. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't say, look, this is what you have to do, and this isn't right, and this is wrong, and you know, I'm just saying, look, this is what worked for me, and this is what I've experienced, and this is how I get through it, and create a supportive network where we feel like we're family and we're not competing against each other. Because as you and I as women, you know, we tend to be raised in an environment where we're cutthroat and catty and backstabbing, and you know, like we're competing all the time, as opposed to, like you said, with the self-esteem, but as opposed to being of service.
Yeah. Let's get a bit of sisterhood going, Kortney.
That's it, sisterhood.
Let's get a bit of sisterhood going. I'll get myself an ass like yours and I'll be happy.